Some people chase success. Others lose everything chasing survival. The city buzzed with life, neon signs flickering against the damp pavement as expensive cars weaved through the streets. Inside an upscale restaurant, Ethan Hayes sat at a private table, scrolling through business reports on his phone. Billionaire, investor, CEO. He had earned every title through relentless work, leaving nothing to chance. His latest deal had just crossed the $1 billion mark, but he barely reacted. Success had become routine. Then something outside the window caught his eye. A delivery girl, drenched from the rain, balancing a large paper bag in one hand and a phone in the other. She looked exhausted, her worn-out sneakers splashing through puddles as she hurried toward the restaurant entrance. Ethan almost looked away. But then he saw her face. His grip on the phone tightened. It was Mia Carter, his closest friend from college, the one who had pulled all-nighters with him before exams, the girl who used to say, "One day, we'll both be on top of the world." But now, she was delivering food. Something twisted in his chest. What the hell had happened to her? Ethan couldn't take his eyes off her. She stepped inside the restaurant, shaking the rain off her hoodie, her fingers gripping the soaked paper bag. She hadn't seen him yet, too focused on finding the customer who had placed the order. His heart pounded. This doesn't make sense. Mia had been brilliant, top of their class, ambitious. She was supposed to be leading a company, designing skyscrapers, changing the world. Not this. A waiter approached her, barely glancing up from his tablet. "Order for table 6? Mia forced a smile, nodding as she handed over the bag. "Yeah, sorry for the delay. Traffic was bad." The man sighed, shaking his head. "Got to be faster next time. Customers don't like waiting." He barely thanked her before walking off. Ethan felt his jaw tighten. Mia just stood there for a second, exhaling, before adjusting the strap of her delivery bag and turning towards the door. That's when their eyes met. She froze. Ethan stood slowly, his chair scraping against the marble floor. "Mia?" She blinked, like she wasn't sure if he was real. "Ethan?" The air between them was heavy, filled with 1,000 unsaid words. Then, just as quickly, Mia forced another small smile, the same kind of tired, practiced smile he had seen on people who had been beaten down by life too many times. "Wow, long time no see," she said, shifting her weight awkwardly. "Looks like you made it, huh?" Ethan stepped closer. "Mia, what?" He stopped, glancing at the delivery bag hanging off her shoulder. "What's going on? Why are you—" He gestured vaguely. "Why are you delivering food?" Her expression flickered, something vulnerable flashing across her face before she hid it. "Just paying the bills." Ethan didn't buy that for a second. "Mia." His voice was quieter now. "What happened?" She hesitated. Then she let out a breath, shaking her head. "Life happened." That was all she said. But Ethan knew that wasn't the full story. And he wasn't leaving until he got it. Mia shifted uncomfortably, glancing towards the door like she was already planning her escape. But Ethan wasn't letting this go. Not after everything they had been through. "You were supposed to be an architect," he said, his voice calmer now, but firm. "You had offers from the top firms. What happened?" Mia let out a small laugh, but there was no humor in it. "Yeah, well, turns out dreams cost money." She pulled the strap of her delivery bag tighter. "Student loans piled up fast. My mom got sick, and hospital bills don't care about how many degrees you have." She shrugged, but Ethan could see the weight behind it. "So, I dropped out, took whatever jobs I could, and here I am." Ethan felt something deep in his chest tighten. This wasn't the Mia he remembered. The Mia he knew never backed down, never settled. She was the one who used to push him forward, who always believed they were meant for bigger things. And now she had been crushed by the very system they had once promised to escape. "How long have you been doing this?" he asked. Mia smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Long enough." Ethan's fists clenched at his sides. This isn't right. He had spent the last decade making millions, building an empire, rubbing shoulders with the most powerful people in the country. And all this time, one of the smartest people he had ever known had been struggling just to survive. He exhaled slowly. "Mia, come work for me." She blinked. "What?" "I'm serious," he said. "I'll get you back into architecture. You don't belong in this job. You belong designing the buildings, not delivering to them." Mia shook her head almost instantly. "Ethan, no, I don't need a handout." "It's not a handout," he said firmly. "It's what you deserve." She hesitated, her fingers tightening around the strap of her bag. "I wouldn't even know where to start anymore." Ethan smirked. "Good thing I do." Mia exhaled, staring at him, searching his face like she was waiting for him to take it back. But he wouldn't, because after all these years she had never given up on him. And now it was his turn to fight for her. Mia looked down, her fingers gripping the strap of her bag so tightly that her knuckles turned white. "Ethan, I don't know." Her voice was small, uncertain, so different from the girl who used to argue with professors, who once swore she'd design the skyline of this city. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Why not?" Mia swallowed hard. "Because I don't even know if I can do this anymore." She let out a shaky breath. "It's been years, Ethan. I'm out of practice. I don't have connections, a portfolio, nothing." Ethan tilted his head. "So?" She blinked up at him. "So?" He shrugged. "You think I had a portfolio when I started my first company? I had nothing, just an idea and a willingness to bet on myself." He met her gaze. "And now I'm betting on you." Mia's throat bobbed as she swallowed. "And what if I fail?" Ethan smirked. "Then you try again, and again, until you don't." She let out a soft, breathless laugh, shaking her head. "You make it sound so easy." "It's not," he admitted, "but neither is working 12-hour shifts delivering food while knowing you're meant for something bigger." He crossed his arms. "So what's it going to be, Mia? Keep delivering to buildings, or start designing them?" Mia looked away, biting her lip. He could see the war happening inside her, the fear of starting over, of hoping again after years of disappointment. But then, slowly, she exhaled and met his gaze. "What would I have to do?" A triumphant smirk spread across Ethan's face. "First, quit this job?" Mia let out a small laugh, shaking her head. "You really don't waste time, huh?" "Nope." Ethan pulled out his phone. "And second? Be ready first thing tomorrow. I'm setting up a meeting with my head architect. You're gonna be her apprentice." Mia's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" He shot her a grin. "What, you thought I'd just throw you into a fancy office and call it a day? No way. You're getting your hands dirty, learning, practicing, proving to yourself that you can still do this." He tucked his phone back into his pocket. "Because you can." Mia stared at him, a whirlwind of emotions flashing across her face, shock, hesitation, and finally, something dangerously close to hope. She swallowed. "Okay." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Okay?" She exhaled. "Okay, I'll do it." A slow smile spread across Ethan's face. Good. For the first time that night, Mia stood a little taller. The delivery bag on her shoulder suddenly felt lighter, the weight of years of struggle beginning to lift. Because for the first time in a long time, she wasn't just surviving, she was getting a second chance. Sometimes all it takes is one person to remind you of who you were meant to be. The real question is, will you take that chance when it finally comes?